Hey everybody, this is George Brasher with Shakedown of Thunder Sports, and you're about to watch the two Irish brothers. Go Irish.
How's it going, everyone? I am ND Sean 45.
I'm Irish Benjamin 57.
And together, the two of us make up this little thing called the Two Irish Brothers Show. Ben, it's great to be back for another show. How are you doing this week, my friend?
Doing pretty good. We got some exciting news to talk about today.
Oh, yes, we do. But before we get into that, you guys know the drill. If you haven't done it already, hit that subscribe tab in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Give the show a little love, and let's build this thing. So, with that said, the most recent news, the NFL draft has finally gotten here, and just like that, it has come and gone. So the Irish had two of their players drafted. Kyle Hamilton with the Baltimore Ravens at number 14. Kyren Williams went to the LA Rams, the defending Super Bowl champions.
Yep.
Let's talk about Kyle Hamilton. Myself personally, I thought he was going to go a little higher than that. I mean, I was so sure he was going to be a top 10 pick, but I guess it all falls on what teams' needs are.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I thought he was a top 10 as well, but I think that's the Ravens for you. You know, they're definitely a franchise, at least since I've been alive. I mean, they've been a franchise since I've been alive, but it seems like they always go defense. They're always really hyper focused on that defense, and they get a pretty darn good guy in Kyle Hamilton for that to bolster that defense. So,
yeah. Oh, their defense definitely got a little better, especially in that secondary with Kyle Hamilton now there. I don't know if they're going to expect him to be like an Ed Reed type, but I think Kyle Hamilton will still be pretty damn good.
Yeah, I'm already seeing the people say that that's the comparison. You know, him and Ed Reed. So that's a pretty good company to be in if that's what people are comparing him to. So, but yeah, I don't know. I'm happy and sad, I guess, is the right word for that. You know, I'm happy for Kyle, but I'm also kind of sad because I'm not a big fan of the Ravens. You know, they're one of my probably top 5 teams I dislike the most in the NFL. So,
why is that exactly? Or would you rather not say?
I feel like they've always kind of been a dirty team. I really do, and not like the players themselves get themselves in trouble, like outside of football and stuff, but more just like a lot of on the field. You know, like
cheap shots and stuff like that. Okay.
And more recently, the Dolphins kind of have a little rivalry going on with them. It seems like things get a little chippy when those two teams meet. So there's that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you watch enough, I guess myself, I haven't really paid much attention, but I guess if you watch, you probably would notice the cheap shots. I haven't really thought much about it. But real quick with the Ravens, in recent history, they've been known to, it seems like they've been drafting a lot of Notre Dame guys as well. I mean, they drafted Ronnie Stanley at I believe he was a top 10 pick, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but definitely a first rounder. They took him. They took they took one of our wide receivers, Miles Boykin,
yep.
And now Kyle Hamilton.
They drafted Zibikowski.
Yes, they did draft. That's right. They did draft Zibikowski. So yeah, there's been a little Notre Dame Baltimore Raven connection there in recent history. So
yeah.
So I think Baltimore could be a pretty good fit for Kyle Hamilton. He has a chance to shine right away. Now Kyren Williams, on the other hand, he might be a little down on the depth chart, but he'll have his chance for sure.
Well, that running back group for the Rams has been pretty banged up, so I think he may get a bigger chance than I think some people think in that situation. So I think that's an absolute phenomenal situation for Kyren, and once again, happy and sad, but definitely that's exciting for him.
I honestly would have loved to have seen him stay here for one more year, but as you and I have discussed many times, and even myself and George as well in the the videos that him and I have done together when you weren't available. You can't really fault these kids for wanting to take the money when they can, especially after, whether it's been in Kyle Hamilton's case, it was an injury, or Kyren Williams, if he thought his draft stock couldn't get any higher. I don't know if that's the case, but you can understand that part of it for wanting to, take the money when they can. And I can understand that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can, school is very important, and I will say that. But in these guys' situation, you can always go back and finish. I mean,
Jerome Bettis is doing
enough opportunities to go back and finish while they're still in the NFL. So, I mean, if you have that opportunity, by all means, football is not a game where, you can make a long career out of it. I mean, a lot of guys don't last. So you get that opportunity, you got to take it. So I don't, I don't fault them.
And on average, with the NFL, the average is basically one contract. That's all you're going to get. That's the average length of how long guys last, which turns out to be basically their rookie contract, and that's it. So yeah, you take it while you can. So that the only disappointing thing about the draft is those were the only two guys that we had actually get drafted. The rest of our guys in this class, they signed as undrafted free agents, which isn't, I'm not saying it's bad, but the more guys that get drafted, the better. I mean, that's what you like to see as a fan, but it just, it is what it is. So let's go over the list of, where the rest of our guys signed as undrafted free agents. We'll start with, Jack Cohn. He signed with the Indianapolis Colts. I don't know if he really has a chance to be a starter with Matt Ryan there now, but he could definitely, in my opinion, I think he'll end up on the practice squad. And then a couple other guys we'll cover all at once here. We had Kevin Austin Jr. heading to the Jacksonville the Jacksonville Jaguars. I hate it when I slip my words there. Myron Tagovailoa-Amosa, he signed with the Las Vegas Raiders, and Kurt Heinisch signed with the Houston Texans. Now, I was really hoping that of those guys, that I really thought that Kevin Austin was a guy who could have been drafted instead of an undrafted free agent. So that was a little disappointing, but the fact is all these guys are getting a chance to have a shot somewhere.
Yeah.
So which of those signings did you like the most?
Let's see. I don't know. I think
and that wasn't all of them.
Kevin Austin is I think the best situation out of those guys. I think that there's a need in the Jaguars organization for a good wide receiver, and I think that really helps Kevin. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, all of these situations are very interesting. And maybe the Houston Texans, with Kurt Heinisch, because they're kind of rebuilding, and
that team needs a lot of help.
So yeah. And not mention, Drew White signing with the Commanders in Washington's interesting. So
they'll always be the Redskins to me.
That's a situation in Washington that, he very well could start if he can, really impress people in camp. So I don't know. I don't know. I think some of these guys have good opportunities. But yeah, I don't know.
So was that it? Just those five that I was thinking there was more.
I don't know.
Well, let's look this up. Let's look this up real quick. See, I hate having to do this, but when your page doesn't help me out.
I mean, those are the guys that I have listed and all that for.
All right, well, let's see what we have here. I think I might have finally. Okay, yep. Kurt Heinisch to the Houston Texans. Drew White to the Redskins. Kevin Austin to the Jaguars. Myron Tagovailoa to the Raiders. Jack Cohn to the Colts. Yeah, it looks like that was it. I was thinking there were some other Notre Dame guys who signed as undrafted free agents, but I guess that was it. So, well, anyway, nothing but the best of luck to all those guys. And I think of those guys, we were talking about Drew White. I think he definitely has a big chance to make the roster. He made a lot of great plays for us in his time here at Notre Dame, and I think he can make the roster. Him and Kurt Heinisch, I think, have the best chance to make their respected rosters. And Kevin Austin, outside shot. Myron Tagovailoa, I'm Amosa. I don't know. I'm on the fence with him. And Jack Cohn, I hate saying this, but I think the best chance for him is probably the practice squad.
Yeah.
There's just too much depth in front of him. But all I know is, regardless, best of luck to all those guys, and I hope they all make their respected clubs. I really do.
Oh yeah, it's always good for Notre Dame, and it's good as a whole for Notre Dame and that. So,
well, speaking of which, as you just kind of said, it's good for Notre Dame because it helps with the recruiting, shows the recruits that, hey, you can have a shot at the NFL. It's not guaranteed, but the shot is there. So let's talk about the recent recruiting news. And I know Notre Dame has been huge, which we've talked about in previous episodes. They've been very big on the recruiting trail. As Coach Freeman said, the recruiting never stops. And the one guy that that has definitely been talked about in recruiting has been quarterback Dante Moore. And they've really been hitting the recruiting trail hard on him. So Ben, if you've seen anything, what's some news that you've seen with him that that maybe I didn't catch or something? Because I know the Irish are still big on him, and he seems big on the Irish as well.
Yeah, it seems like both parties, Notre Dame and Moore, are very, very interested in one another. This is Notre Dame plucking, or at least trying to pluck, another Michigan boy out of basically Ann Arbor territory and all that, because he's out of Detroit. Tommy Rees was in Detroit for another visit with Moore, and that's exciting. I think the biggest thing for Notre Dame in recent years was just, recruiting, I think, hasn't been where fans of Notre Dame want it to be. And unfortunately nowadays it seems like, if you want to keep up in this talented world of college football, you have to have a good, I wouldn't even say good, and a very excellent recruiting class. And Notre Dame's had good recruiting classes, but in a lot of people's eyes, not great.
And that's unfortunate, because there's been a lot of great talent that's come out of these classes.
And I think also what has not helped is, Brian Kelly and his staffs just, for whatever reason, I think, seem to rub kids the wrong way. These kids that coming in. So I don't know what was said. I can't say what was said because I don't know, and I'm not going to give false information out. But, you see guys like Phil Dracovic and Jordan Johnson and, who was the most recent guy to transfer? Oh, Sebo, transferring. You see these guys that we get in that have huge upsides, and then they're either not playing or whatever, makes you wonder. So now, we see more coming in, and we have, CJ Carr, a 2024, quarterback, set for, once again, another Notre Dame visit. He's had multiple visits. That's huge. That's absolutely huge. So Freeman and this staff has already started to really flip the recruiting upside down. Which is absolutely awesome. So,
and the interesting thing about CJ Carr is he is the grandson of Lloyd Carr, former Michigan coach. So that would definitely be huge if we were able to land him.
Yes.
But of course, I always say this: I never get excited about recruits until they sign on that dotted line. But it's definitely fun to talk about, and just imagine like the old MasterCard commercial. Imagine the possibilities, you know. But speaking of all these recruits we have coming in, especially with quarterbacks, I mean, we have Dante Moore that Notre Dame is strongly going after, CJ Carr, and I don't know if I'd really count this one as an actual recruit that we're going after. But of course, you've seen the news, Ben. I've seen the news. Arch Manning. Now, Peyton and Eli, we all know the news. They've been seen at the University of Notre Dame on campus. And so it's stoked the fires of the rumor mills. Could Arch Manning be on the radar for Marcus Freeman and his staff? But then you see that it was just that Peyton and Eli were there to film an episode of Peyton's Place. And so it's like, all I know is it's still sending up a lot of mixed signals to me.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, that kind of, makes people wonder, well, what about Moore and all that? And, Notre Dame remains, from what I'm reading, very, very all in on Moore. But yeah, and then I've seen people saying, well, if we're getting Moore, then why even go after Manning? And Moore's better and all that. My thing is, why not have both? Seriously, I mean, pull an Alabama, have two of the best guys on your roster, and yeah, both of them can't start, but you have them. I mean, and then nobody else does. So I don't know. It's real interesting. I don't know. The rumor mills is all fired up, and all systems go for that, and I think only time will tell with Arch Manning, but it sounds like Notre Dame and Moore is a lot more of a thing than Arch Manning is.
So. Well, and also, I mean, the big thing too is in a couple of pictures that I saw, it was Brady Quinn with the Mannings, and so it's like, how big is this connection? And but I think the thing is too, even though Alabama's been able to pull it off, it makes me wonder if we could ever get to a point where we could pull that off, having, a couple of the best quarterbacks in the country out of high school, that is, on our roster, because it seems like for us, we get a lot of guys who they want to play as soon as possible. And if they don't get it, boom, they're hitting the transfer portal.
Yeah.
Now, of course, a team like Alabama doesn't have that problem because, well, they've been winning a lot of national championships as of late. And, well, as much as I hate to say it, and it kills me to say it, we have not.
Yeah.
So it's like, could we ever get to a point where we could pull that off? I don't know. I hope so. I would love that. But all I know is it's definitely been interesting news with Notre Dame and the Mannings, and I think maybe that's just what it is they were just there to film an episode of their show, and really Arch Manning is not on the radar because you already have two other talented quarterbacks on your radar in Moore and Carr, and sometimes you got to be careful with that because as I just said, the quarterback room can get a little full sometimes, and guys can get a little pissed off and antsy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So
but, I don't know.
So in other news, real quick with guys that are currently on the team, Logan Biggs, this is unfortunate news. He just suffered a recent injury in the spring game on his shoulder. Now I'm trying to find, let's see here. Yep. It was a torn left labrum in the blue and gold game here, according to an article. Now torn labrum, that's no joke. I'm not a doctor, so I'm guessing he probably won't be ready to go until probably the start of the season. Or do you think that could be enough to have him, miss a couple games into the season?
That's a very good question, and
neither one of us are doctors, but
you took the words right out of my mouth. That was literally about what I was about to say. Not a doctor. I have no idea, and I mean, anytime you start talking about tears, bad. I don't know. I mean, with that, I tend to like the mindset that you take a very cautious approach, and if he has to sit out a couple games, you sit him out a couple games. I hate that, but the worst case scenario, in my opinion, is you have that injury, you rush him back, then he has a worse injury, and then he's gone for the entire season, as opposed to 2 or 3 games.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that's a no bueno situation in my opinion.
And it's a shame too, because if he does have to miss some time, like, okay, it's understandable, but it's a shame because that kid really started to show last year what he's capable of doing. So it really sucks if he does have to miss some games. But the good news is we have a loaded running back room, and we have some other talented guys in there that can step up and fill the role that, you know, Logan is leaving void.
Yeah,
guys like Audric Estime and I mean, like I said, it sucks to lose Sebo, but I think Sebo, he was pretty low on the depth chart anyway. And we got called out for this, Ben, in the last video that we did. We had a couple people call us out, but we got some names mixed up with some positions.
Yep, I saw the comments.
Yeah, we see the comments, people. We don't miss it. But let's see, was it Jadarian Price, who is the running back? And Jade and
on the spot again. Is this what we're doing?
Well, I already have a bunch of stuff up on my search engine here, and I don't think you do. So you have some room to search. But I'd like to think it's Jadarian Price, who is the running back, and Jaden Thomas, who is the wide receiver. I probably should have looked at this before we sat down to film.
Jadarian Price is a running back, yes.
Okay.
And then
we got Audric Estime in there.
Jaden Thomas is a wide receiver.
Okay. Now going back to the running backs, with Logan Biggs being gone, we still have Audric Estime, Jadarian Price to satisfy all you people who like to do nothing but call out our mistakes, and of course Chris Tyree.
Yes.
And
Tyree's the exciting one, and like he's the most. Not trying to take away from the preview we do every year for our season, but Tyree makes me really, really excited. I mean, I am very, very excited to see what he does now that Kyren is gone. And nothing against Kyren. I mean, Kyren was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. I mean, I hate seeing him go, but man, Tyree, I think, is going to be the guy that, man, he's going to put the NCAA on notice, in my opinion. So that give you a little teaser for our preview that we'll put out in a month or two. But yeah, I don't know. It's gonna get really, really interesting. But
yeah, it's looking like right now with Logan Biggs being out, Chris Tyree will be the number 1. Audric Estime would be the number 2, and then Jadarian Price would be number 3, and then you'd probably have to call somebody up, or another incoming freshman who's not there yet to be in that 4th spot.
Yeah, I mean, that 4th spot could be, I don't know. Could be, I don't know. That's a good question.
Maybe a walk-on, who knows? But real quick, Ben, the last topic we have for this video, we were talking about it before we started filming. Brady Quinn, he's come to Notre Dame with a new NIL deal for Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
So let's hear it. You know more about it than I do.
So Brady Quinn, most Notre Dame diehards will know him. Oh
yeah,
has started the Fund Foundation. So Fund is Friends of the University of Notre Dame, and it is basically a NIL collective that is designed to help student athletes promote charitable organizations. So the article from Fansided, and slap the sign, gives a good example. If a player has a family member battling cancer, Fund would help them promote something like the Jimmy V Foundation. and all that. And the interesting thing is donations will be distributed to student athletes as a stipend for their charitable work. And anybody can donate. So like me or you or whoever can donate, and then they get a stipend. And I think this levels the playing field a little bit with these juggernauts that we have seen, like with Alabama and LSU, Georgia in recent years now, and Ohio State. These teams that they have players coming in making an absolute insane amount of money to play football in college. I mean, and we've never had this before. So, and digressing for a second, I am not an expert on any of this. This is all new. This is, what I am taking from it with Brady Quinn and fund and all that. So don't act like I know everything.
I'm just saying you know more than I do because I haven't had a chance to really read much about this lately.
But to me, a brand like Notre Dame, who has their own TV deal, who has a fan network that is admirably called, the Subway Domer system, why not? I mean, this is huge. This is absolutely huge. And the fact that it is being created and overseen by a guy that has had huge connections to Notre Dame and Brady Quinn makes it even better. So, I hope to see more of this because this ups recruiting. I mean, I'm sorry, this makes guys go, all right, Notre Dame's not sounding half bad. Let's see what's we got going on over there. So
yeah, and they're saying to themselves, I can play football at a top level university and I can make a little dough on the side.
So I think this is great. I think it's absolutely great. So we'll see what happens. Sky's the limit, and that kind of coincides with what we were talking about earlier with Arch Manning and the Manning brothers and all that. The speculation is that not only were they there for the filming, but for Brady Quinn, and that's why they were seen with him in the NIL and the fund situation. So, Arch Manning, the speculation is looking into that at Notre Dame. That's the speculation. That's not, we don't know any of that. I'm not breaking news. I am not saying that's a fact. That is a speculation, and you know what they say about assumptions.
Yes.
So, just gonna, get my hands clean of that. But yeah, so it's exciting. I mean, it's exciting. That's what this does. It generates a buzz. You get guys interested because I'm sorry, Notre Dame is a place that there's not a lot going on. I mean, it's a small campus. It's a small university. You got no beach. You got no city. You got none of that, where you can throw that around as a recruiter.
There's heavy snow.
I mean, yeah. And like I said, as a recruiter, you can throw around at Miami or Southern Cal or even Alabama. You got the beach. You got, the city life. You got all this kind of stuff. Notre Dame doesn't have that. I mean, Chicago's like a 40-minute drive if you're lucky from, South Bend, and it's cold and it's rainy and it's snowy. So this, to me, levels the playing field and creates a bigger buzz.
Yeah, I obviously, Ben, you and I have both been to South Bend at different times. There's no nightlife there. There's nothing.
No, I mean, and you have to do other things to get guys interested. I mean, it's, and that's what, I mean, I think a couple of these programs other than Notre Dame that we've seen in the past that have had big success, like Boise State and Utah a couple years ago and all that. That's incredible to see them do that because you don't got a lot to go off of. I mean, you're going into a cold environment. You're going into not a lot to do. To get bigger name guys that go, okay, I'll come play for you. That's saying something. So sky's the limit. I'm excited. I know, last year Kyle Hamilton did some stuff NIL wise and all that. So
the offensive line did as well. And
yeah, I mean, and so I don't know, it's exciting. That's all I can say. And I'm excited. And I want to see Notre Dame get over that hump. We've said it, God only knows how many times in videos, but Notre Dame just, they can't get over that hump. We get there. We're there. We're in the thick of things. We see it. we're almost there, but we just can't get over that hump. It's
Yeah.
like the absurd hero, you know, in mythology that pushes the rock all the way up the hill and then it gets to the top of the hill and blah, 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 right back down. You know, so I don't know, man. Hopefully this is it.
I hope so.
You know, with Freeman and we get it going and you know, there's a lot of buzz. There's a lot of buzz. So
with all the money that Notre Dame brings in, and I know all the people that push for us to join a conference, they can't seem to comprehend this, but Notre Dame makes a lot of money and they don't need a conference to do it. But yes, this would definitely be the school that can do that financially and really take advantage of the NIL for sure.
And it helps with the NIL and our schedules coming up in future years, because we got Florida on the horizon,
Texas A&M,
we have Alabama and A&M. You know, so
then our return match with Ohio State. So we got some big boys coming in.
Tell me that doesn't get you excited as a player. You know, you see Alabama on the schedule, you see Florida on the schedule, you see Ohio State, you see even Clemson. You know, you see these teams on the schedule, and you go, "Let's go play football at Notre Dame to go play that game." I'm excited. You know, so it's cool. It's really cool and exciting.
Oh, it is indeed. So yeah, Ben, on that note, I think we've covered everything that we have to cover here, and we thank all of you guys for watching. I know it's almost a 32-minute video, but that's what it's about. That's what discussion is all about, and that's why you guys can leave comments and ask us questions and talk to us and so on. So just let everybody know, come summertime, we will have some more opportunities for live streams. If you guys want to join us and ask us questions there and shoot the breeze with us. And so a lot of cool things coming up. So yeah, be on the lookout for all that. And on that note, Ben, do you have anything else you want to add?
Got nothing.
All right. Well, that concludes another episode of the Two Irish Brothers Show. And with that said, I am ND Sean 45.
I'm Irish Benjamin 57.
And as we always say, good night, God bless, and go Irish.
Go Irish.